sometimes we would start in South America, and you would have people freaking out, but they did in the UK as well. So you could tell that the audience is feeling the same way.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
Sascha, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Just to ask you the most important question of all time as the first question, what is more fun for you, playing with a fog machine or unpacking a new guitar?
I think most of the time it's both, you know. Having a few gimmicks lying around and trying them out is fun too. But yeah, the unpacking, I think it's going to be a series now that I'm doing stuff from time to time. So I'm unpacking.
Yeah. Now, for me, I'm a music enthusiast, a music lover. I'm not a musician myself. I mean, I have a guitar. I don't really know how to play it. For people like me, who see you play these crazy looking signature guitars, can you help a guy like me understand, a non-technical person, what makes your signature guitars so special?
Well, obviously, first of all, it's the looks. You know, I wanted to create something that is fashionable, which is like not you could use in a heavy metal context, but also someone like Lady Gaga could just wear it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's weird to talk about an instrument, about having an instrument being a wearable item, but I wanted to create something like that. So it's kind of fashionable, but at the same time, I wanted to connect both worlds, because of course I have another band where I'm playing more into the realm of pop and electronic music, and there I was using a guitar from 1986, which was very futuristic looking. Mm-hmm. And I was always thinking, how could I combine those both worlds? And at the same time, I wanted to create something that sounds unique, so which looks unique and sounds unique and is something else. So it's something new, giving like the whole, you know, nowadays there's so many guitars and technology also, amplifiers, effects available for everyone. When I was a kid and starting out, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
But what happened back then was there were so many revolutions going on. New guitars, so Steve Vai came with his guitar in the grip.
Yeah.
And all these things, and then in the last like 20 years, I think not much like that happened. So through the last few years, maybe a few companies took on that procedure, but and artists as well. So I was thinking of how could we develop something new, which also looks very, very cool.
Are there times when one side of you has to tell the other side of you, like, okay, that would look really cool, but that would just not be practical anymore? Because you mentioned the grip of Steve Vai. That looks also like one of the easiest guitars to carry around because it has fantastic
Absolutely.
grip. Yours as well, with the extended connection between the neck and the body.
Yeah.
Are there things that you weren't like, okay, I have really cool ideas, but I have to stay realistic here?
Yeah, we did. I mean, I'm working with this guy here in Germany who was helping me developing the guitar, and it took almost over 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So there are things like when you sit down and you start playing and you're like, okay, that's not working. But then on the other hand, you don't want to destroy the design and everything. And then we didn't know if everything works, and like the connection from the head to the body, it's not only a visual thing, it's a good sounding thing too, because this wood is transporting sound, so you can actually feel it when you play a chord and you grab it, it's swinging, you know. So it's vibrating, and so this guitar is a very unique sustain. It sounds very modern. It's probably nothing for the blues players out there, but from like in a pop and rock context, or like the synth stuff I'm doing, it's just perfect. And at the same time, like you said, there were so many little things we had to change because they were impractical.
Now, at Best Time, the new single that was released, one of the reasons that we're talking today, a new video came out for that as well, a song that you wrote. On the surface, this feels like a typical Halloween, uplifting song, thinking about, living in the moment, but you don't have to dig too much, as with more of your songs that you've written for Halloween, to realize that there's always more layers to Halloween than you might think. There is a melancholy to that song. There are multiple meanings in that song, and you've been sharing also on your Instagram feeds more about some of the songs that you've written that are way more, quote unquote, serious than people might expect from a Halloween. Is that something that you really brought to the band more than was available in the 80s and the early 90s?
I think maybe not the death, because Andy and Michael, for instance, are Michael Weikath, are able to write really deep lyrics too.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been kind of a role model for me. When I joined the band, there was so much talent around suddenly. So for me, it was like, wow, what's going on? There's the bar, when it came to songwriting, and also when I joined the band, my English was like really, really bad. I still have to improve, but back then it was like really, really bad. And they were like, yeah, but if you're writing songs, you have to improve your English first, So I was doing that, what I think what I brought to the band was, in terms of songwriting, was the melancholy. That's a part of my personality. That's just like, if Kai Hansen is the sun, I'm the moon, So there's Halloween was always related to those happy childhood melodies. And I'm almost most of the time tending to the darker side, but not in a bad way. I'm not a fan of evil, and I'm not a fan of those like bad lyrics. I wrote a couple of bad lyrics, but and I don't want to do it again. But I like the melancholy in some lyrics, and also like if lyrics make you think twice. Sometimes, and then it's achieving a happy song at the same time, while you have like the sense of darkness in there. That's something artful to me, a song that makes you feel good, but at the same time it's a pretty dark, it's a bit darkish. I like that.
When there are fans that not only recognize that darker side or that melancholy, where you often channel your own personal experience as well, but beyond that, share things like that song saved me, or that album helped me get through a very dark period, which again, maybe a lot of just people that are staying on the surface of Halloween would not expect that necessarily from a happy metal band. Is that the biggest compliment you can get?
Well, it's a compliment, and also I have to say, I think a lot of people were not realizing that Halloween changed a lot during the decades. The creative range is very, very big for heavy metal band. If you go through all these albums, they've been recording without me, there's such a variety in there. And then you have 5 songwriters, which is a plus. Most bands they have just 1 or 2 people writing songs, and
that's very unique.
Yeah, right. And so this and having this variety makes it really unique, I think. And yeah, and lyrics are also a way to express your feelings. You know, for me, like most of my lyrics um, are kind of a snapshot of what was going on before. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, like best time was something I had to express, and also um, a song like Angels, for instance, was really close to me. You know, from the lyric side. And is it a happy Halloween song? No, it isn't. But it's kind of a theatrical journey, and so for me, like the harmonies and the lyrics, they must fit together, and that's really important. Yeah, just
Yeah, yeah.
to have an expression. But then on the other hand, I see Andy sometimes putting out fictional stories that could be true, you know, and
Right.
which is really nice too. Like a novelist writing a story and making a song about it. I kind of adore that with his lyrics, you know, seeing him being inspired by books and movies and whatever, and then creating your that's a good fantasy, you know, creating using a fantasy to create some new story, and then you have Mikey doing his kind of weird stories, you know, which are fictional most of the time as well, but
Yeah, yeah.
then they have a second meaning as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that. It's really deep, and as you said, a lot of people won't guess or wouldn't see that on the surface.
When you write these songs that are very personal to you and that deal about your own, you know, whether it's childhood or other parts of your life, and those songs become popular, and an audience demands you to play that song every night you get on a stage, does that remain a great way for you to channel negativity, or is that sometimes, you know, there's other bands that will tell me like, you know, I wish I didn't have to play that song because I just go through that same horrible time of my life every time I have to talk about it. What's that like for you?
Well, when we put on a show, it's a totally different thing, because there's so much energy on stage, and on stage we have this happy Halloween feeling, you know.
Yeah.
And because it's not you alone, I would say when I'm on stage with Palas, it's quite different.
Okay.
Because like the whole focus is on me as the singer and songwriter, and then the focus on those songs, I have a stronger feeling to that. But in Halloween, it's a lot of guys with a lot of energy on stage, you know, and so it's not your thing anymore. It's us together, great show, and entertain people and giving them a good feeling, you know. And I would say Palas, for instance, is more artsy fartsy, you know. It's more it's I might have that feeling more with that band than in Halloween. Okay. You know, so in Halloween I would forget about the lyrics at some point, because then Marcus just comes and kicks me or whatever, you know, because there's this whole vibe on stage, people flying around and running and smiling, and so yeah, it's a different vibe.
So let's obviously talk a little bit about this new, tour, which, you know, the tour of all tours, let's say. You knew that when the album was coming out, last time we spoke, it was just before the new album was coming out, and there was a lot of anticipation. And then the results of that album, I think, were very positive for you guys.
Absolutely.
And then it took almost a year before you could, tour this new album. That's now kicked off with 2 shows in the UK, many more shows to follow, and obviously here in North America, we can't wait for you guys to announce a few things. Even knowing that the album was very well received and that these shows were going to be successful, how were these, shows in Manchester and London? What was the one takeaway already of these 2 shows for you?
Well, first of all, I have to say we kind of missed the momentum when we brought out this album. You know, normally like with that much feedback, you would go straight on tour, which we have planned, but unfortunately it didn't happen due to the pandemic. And I have to say, last year it was kind of hard for me personally, because when you're in this period of more than 2 years not going on stage, and if going on stage and the whole lifestyle that comes with it, the traveling, the hotels, the stages, everything, the people you meet, you know, the socializing aspect. When you're used to that, you kind of you're falling into a hole when you don't have that anymore. If that's your life, you know. For me, I figured the moment we went on a plane all together, and it was like, oh, it's really happening. We're flying out there to play a show, and it felt so natural to me, and I was so relieved that we can do this again. So these 2 shows were kind of were really important for me personally to do them, because I was really feeling, okay, that's my life, and let's just skip what happened the last 2 years, you know. Because you end up asking yourself, what's going on? You're kind of losing yourself, and studio playing can't compensate that for me. What the feeling you have on tour with the people, and so I figured these 2 shows are really important to kick off a tour, and yeah. So, and it went great, and I was kind of surprised also, because normally I know we wouldn't probably not start in the UK when we start a tour, you know. You wouldn't. Sometimes we would start in South America, and you would have people freaking out, but they did in the UK as well. So you could tell that the audience is feeling the same way. Well, normally, we would need like 10 shows to create like a nice set list, and you can figure out putting in songs, putting out songs, and trying out what feels well. You know, most of the time we decide about the feeling. You know, we want to give people a journey, and you know, with a history from over 30 years, it's almost impossible to touch each album, you know. But we kind of want to do that kind of in creating those feelings during the decades. And so normally you would need 10 to 12 shows, like the perfect set. But it was a great start, you know. It was good for the morality in the band as well, you know.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can only hope that you guys are not only off to a good start, but just gets better and better, and we see more and more shows announced. I know many shows have been announced already, and it's funny that you say, like, you know, usually we'd go and start in South America. And any post that you do, that people of the band do, there's the first 20 posts, I believe, are come to Brazil, come to Brazil, come to Brazil.
Yeah.
As you go through all those posts, come to Canada as well. Come or North America, whatever. But we'd obviously love to see this tour, you know, continue for a long time, because I think a lot of people, for both Hammerfall and Helloween, you know, like 2 great new albums, 2 bands that are
absolutely, and it's a great package too. You know? It's I can really see that and the musical style just fits together and everything. I think it's a great package, and like you said, there's a huge following from Brazil. So big shout out to my Brazilian fans there. They're just great, but also people in Japan, which aren't apparently too much on Instagram, or, you know, I think they're more into Twitter. Yeah. But, you know, getting this response after 2 years not playing, you know, and seeing people waiting for you to come makes me just feeling grateful, because I know how hard it is to build up a band. You know, I know how hard it is to play like your little gigs and then growing your audience, you know, and having people wait for you, or waiting for a new material, or waiting for you to come to the town. That's just amazing.
Well, Sascha, I want to thank you so much. There's so much going on, and I can't wait to see you guys play. I was unable to join you in the UK, but I will definitely catch the tour somewhere. Sascha, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.